On this episode, we are going to be talking about Daredevil. We apparently know when the Born Again series is going to be happening. Zachary Levi confirms that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson interfered a bit in the Shazam production, and he's also pointing the blame at the marketing of the film for being the problem with it. More and more directors are starting to say they don't want to have anything to do with comic book movies. The Writers Guild of America proposes something interesting in their negotiations about AI writing movies. We're going to talk about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4, new pics from the set of Captain America 4, that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good things. Joining me here today, we got Ray Ora. Back there, we got Taylor Gonzalez, Jonathan Voico running the show, the delightful Chris Carr is here, and most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics, and we got a lot of them to get through today. And then in the last part of the show, we're going to take your questions that you guys have sent in, and you can continue to send in if you'd like, to this link right down here at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. The great thing about the tip link is you don't have to wait until the show is live to fire in a question. If you have a question at 2 a.m. in the morning, go ahead and fire it in, and we'll address it here on the show if we deem it appropriate for the show. And if we have any left over and we don't get around to all of them, we'll address them in an upcoming open mic later in the afternoon. All right, with that down, guys, let's dive right into it, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, I think it's fair to say that one of the more highly anticipated upcoming Marvel Disney Plus show, because let's face it, the Marvel Disney Plus shows have been a bit of a mixed bag. You've had things like WandaVision, which is utterly fantastic, Ms. Marvel, which was utterly fantastic, and you've had some that weren't so good. She-Hulk, not so good. I didn't think Hawkeye was all that good. It's all subjective. Maybe you love them, maybe you hate them, whatever. But one of them that a lot of people seem to be excited about is Daredevil Born Again, that they announced a while ago that they were going to be doing. I believe they said it was going to be an 18-episode season, which got a lot of people excited. Now, there have been some things that have happened that have tempered some people's excitement. Not everybody loved the Daredevil appearance in She-Hulk. And while I didn't like She-Hulk, I loved Daredevil's appearance in it. I thought Daredevil was great in She-Hulk. Finding out that Karen from Daredevil was not going to be in it, that Foggy, or at least the guy who played Foggy, is not going to be in it. Then we found out that the girl playing Vanessa Fisk has been recast. You know, a lot of things tempered some people's excitement, but still, a lot of people very excited for Daredevil Born Again. Well, they have begun shooting the series. It's begun shooting, and we got our first kind of on-set picture that got taken that may have given us a little bit of an insight or hint as to when the show may actually take place. Now, this is over on CBR, and if you scroll down a bit there, you'll see that they've got up there where is it? There's a post there somewhere. Oh, it's disappeared. Oh no, there it is. There's an image that they've got on set. Now, interesting in of itself, not much to see here. We see Matt walking down the street with his, sight assisting cane sort of thing.
But the doors are green, so She-Hulk is in this.
But the doors are green. Therefore, Jonathan Voico has followed the clues. She-Hulk must be in it. The date on the church sign says 2020.
Ooh.
Now, at least that's what people are telling me, because I looked pretty close and I can't make out 2020, but it kind of does look like it says 2020. So 2020. Now that's key because that's during the blip. In Marvel time, that's during the blip. The time in which after Thanos snapped his fingers and sent half the galaxy away, and when Hulk then snapped his fingers and brought everybody back. Now, some of you are saying, John, it was Tony. No. It was Hulk that snapped his fingers and brought everybody back. Tony snapped his fingers to carry out his vengeance and murder Thanos. So 2020 set during the blip. This is interesting to me because it brings up a couple of things. First of all, I kind of thought Marvel had moved on from talking about the era of the blip. And apparently not. Now, it's also possible that maybe this entire story takes place. Well, there's three possibilities. Number one, the entire story takes place during the time of the blip. Number two, this is a flashback in the series back to a time during the blip. Possibility number three, it's just a church that hasn't updated its sign. I mean, as silly as that sounds, I mean, we have to acknowledge that's a possibility.
No, that's definitely a possibility.
It's just a church that hasn't updated its sign. I mean,
I've been to many churches. And,
it's totally possible. Now, let's put on our tinfoil hats here, and let's do what us comic book movie fans do, which is recklessly and wildly speculate about what this could
Put a
be.
hat on here. Okay, ready?
You know, whenever I see that hat, anybody want to guess? Chris, you're the most likely, but whenever I see that hat, any guess what my mind initially goes to?
No.
Cones of Dunshire.
Oh, nice.
My mind instantly goes to the Cones of Dunshire. Anyway,
My immediate thought was, how long I celebrate my birthday?
it is the year of celebrating Chris
Yeah.
Carr's birthday.
You know,
Okay, so let's wildly and recklessly speculate here. Look, I'm on record that it's saying that, well, I have no definitive proof. This is just me as another fan speculating, just like everybody else. That I believe that this is a Daredevil that is exactly like the Daredevil that was in the Netflix series, but it is not the exact same Daredevil as that is in the Netflix series. Charlie Cox has made several comments trying to adjust audiences' expectations, say this isn't Daredevil season 4. This is, a new approach. This is a new thing, all that kind of stuff. We saw that even this Kingpin is not the same Kingpin from Netflix because this Kingpin has superpowers. The other one did not. And some people say, maybe the blip gave him superpowers. That's funny. Marvel's never suggested the blip gave anybody superpowers. But be that as it may, what if, this is the reckless speculation part, what if they are saying something about the blip merged a reality, and we had, the actual MCU proper reality, and then you had the Netflix MCU property reality, and in the blip, something about those two realities merged. So you get a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Again, I have nothing to back that up with. This is me, pure speculation on board here. But it is interesting. I'll say this. I think that if it is not just an outdated church sign, I'm going to guess this is a flashback and not rather the entire series taking place during the blip. But that is a possibility. Anyway, Chris, you saw the image. Mm-hmm. What's going on? What is happening with this picture? What are we seeing?
I mean, I do love Ray's theory of they just didn't change the sign. Like Saint Simon and Jude was so guilty of that in Houston. I think it is a flashback of some sort. I do like the idea, if I'm going to go full tinfoil hat here, of that idea of, oh, well, maybe the blip gave Kingpin superpowers. Wouldn't it be neat if they did it well? Wouldn't it be neat? And don't argue with me. Feel free to, but don't argue with me.
I like that beginning.
If the blip, that cosmic energy from the snap, that second go around, bringing everybody back in particular, is what unlocked that mutant gene. Wouldn't that be spiffy? If that's how we kind of get an explanation as why there's all of a sudden a whole bunch of mutants in the world and why their powers start manifesting, as opposed to them having lived in shadows for years and years and not been part of any of the big cosmic events that had happened. I think that could be pretty cool. And showing Ms. Marvel and Kingpin and a few people who have some kind of mutant gene that is connected to their actual backstory and history and everything could be kind of cool. That all being said, I do think we're just going to get a kind of glimpse of how, he was living during the pandemic, or not the pandemic, the blip, sorry.
Same thing. Totally the same thing.
It's all the same thing. It's a metaphor. But I think we're just going to get glimpses of it. I think to set the whole series during the blip could be a little odd, although it could be able to give a little bit of congruency to the Marvel timeline overall. I don't know about the worlds merging, though. That's a really cool theory of having just kind of multiverses coming together. So we have aspects of different characters. That could be fun.
I think you're onto something about maybe a certain energy release during the blip, blah, blah, could have caused mutation. The one thing that doesn't discount that doesn't sit well with me is that then you're taking out the entire history of this is a world, in the world of X-Men, it's a world that since the younger days of Charles Xavier, they've been fighting the fight for mutant equality and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the whole Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King philosophy that Stan Lee talked about, that all kind of goes out the window. It would also raise an interesting question.
It also conflicts with Namor because he's a mutant.
Yeah, because he was around long before the blip.
But is there continuity when it comes to Marvel logic?
Well, listen, with Fox's X-Men,
there wasn't with
there
Fox.
never was
Yeah.
any continuity, right? It was continuity schmontinuity. So I don't know. It's possible. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this little image that we're seeing? Is it just an outdated sign? Is it a flashback during the blip? Is it this is where the series is taking place? And if so, do you think there could be greater ramifications? A lot of reckless speculation going on. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Under the category, and this is a very, very small category, of movies whose sequels were better than the originals. It's a small list. Empire Strikes Back, arguably. Oh God, I just ran out of steam. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Shrek 2.
Shrek 2.
2.
Yep, Shrek 2. There are a couple of them. Maybe Superman 2 with Zod. It's a small list. But one of the films that I would include in that list is the Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker Rush Hour. I did not like the first Rush Hour, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was all that good. But the second Rush Hour, I completely adore. I love the second Rush Hour. I think it's fantastic. The third one was whatever, but the second one was great. Now, for a very long time, there's been talk about maybe doing a Rush Hour 4. And now, according to a report here in Variety, Chris Tucker is saying, yeah, definitely. I definitely want to do Rush Hour 4 with Jackie Chan. He even says he's working on a script. All right. Get this. He said this. You're going to see a lot of good stuff coming, but it's going to be a whole nother level, Tucker said. That's what I like. I'm excited about that. It's not going to be what you've normally seen. Rush Hour 4, that's something I definitely will probably drop in there because I love working with Jackie, but I've got some new stuff that I think you're really going to like. And going on like that, talking about other projects he's doing. Now, he also mentions he's going to be helping working on the script, that he's going to meet with some people about the script, and all this is happening, right? So this happens, and of course, I get pinged by a bunch of people saying, John, did you hear Rush Hour 4 is actually happening? And I'm like, why does this feel familiar? What is it? Why does this feel familiar? Oh yeah, let's bring this up. So let's look at the history of Rush Hour 4, shall we? Because it goes back all the way to my early days at AMC. Let's go through this history, shall we? Let's see if we can get that a little bit
down a little bit.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
In July of 2012, 11 years ago, producer Arthur Sarkeesian said that we are going to make a Rush Hour 4. And everybody went, John, did you hear the American Rush Hour 4? Then in November 2012, Chris Tucker says, yeah, we're going to do Rush Hour 4 in a news report. So there it was. Jump ahead 2 years to August of 2014. Jackie Chan says, I'm just waiting for the script on Rush Hour 4. Then in July of 2015, a year later, Chris Tucker again confirms that Rush Hour 4 is happening. Jump forward now 2 more years, so October of 2017, Jackie Chan confirms that Rush Hour 4 is happening. In February of 2018, Chan and Tucker appeared together and confirmed that Rush Hour 4 is happening. That is now 5 years ago. April 2019, Chan and Tucker again say Rush Hour 4 is happening soon. A few days later, on April of 2019, Chan's management denies the Rush Hour 4 reports. Then in May of 2019, Brett Ratner, the original director of the first Rush Hour films, in a social media post with Post Malone, in which he put in the hashtag Rush Hour 4, Brett Ratner implies that he's working on Rush Hour 4. Then last year, in December of 2022, Jackie Chan says Rush Hour 4 is in the works. And now today, Chris Tucker says he's in for Rush Hour 4 and they're working on the script. I did not know that picture was coming up.
They never do.
So it has been And maybe there was some rumblings before this too, but we are going back to my days at AMC. That they've been saying, Rush Hour 4 coming, Rush Hour 4 is coming. And now Chris Tucker again.
The thing is, you guys think that John compiled this. He's actually been compiling this since July of 2012.
Oh yeah, this is a Photoshop document I've been working on for 11 years. 11 years. And okay, so where does that leave me now? Does this mean that does this impressive historical list tell us that Rush Hour 4 is not going to happen? No, not necessarily. But I think this graphic lays out my reasoning of why I'm kind of approaching I'll believe it when I see it. Because it has literally been 11 years that I've been told that Rush Hour 4 is coming, Rush Hour 4 is coming, Rush Hour 4 is coming. Because here's the reality too, Jackie Chan's not getting any younger. I mean, Taylor, maybe you can look this up for me quickly. How old is Jackie Chan? I'm going to guess in his 60s.
Oh, wow. He's 1 year away from the golden number. He's 68.
So he's 68 years old.
Because I've got the golden number.
Which means even if this thing starts to get going, they're probably going to be shooting it. He's probably going to turn 70 while they're shooting it. Now, that doesn't mean that hey, listen, I'll take a 70-year-old Jackie Chan over a lot of other people. It's like
Pretty much anyone.
Yeah, just to be clear. Do you know
not
Jackie
Michelle
Chan?
Yeoh. I'd take a Michelle Yeoh over him any day, but still.
Did you know that Jackie Chan was offered, Sylvester Stallone approached Jackie Chan about Expendables 3? Yeah, he was.
Oh, that makes sense.
Jackie tells the story about how Stallone came to him to ask him to be in Expendables 3, and Jackie Chan apparently told him, I love Expendables, but let's just do it with just you and me. Forget everybody else. Just you and me, because I want to do a movie with you, Sly. And he said this, I don't want to be something where I come in, I'm in it for 5 minutes with 500 other people, which, I mean, he was right about that. So he said, come on, Sly, you and me, he said, let's you and me do an Expendables movie. And obviously Stallone didn't do that. It was probably the right decision not to do it with just him and Jackie, but still interesting.
To be fair, Chuck Norris's 5 minutes was amazing.
Yeah, Chuck Norris's quick cameo was pretty good. Look, I'm down for Rush Hour 4 just because I liked Rush Hour 2 so much. And I really do like the chemistry between Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. I like their chemistry a lot, and I've kind of missed it. There'd still be some outstanding questions. Warner Brothers and their subsidiary New Line, who would be owning this property, they have divorced themselves from Brett Ratner. So obviously Ratner wouldn't be involved with it. I'm down for it. I'm not going to lie and say I'm particularly excited about it. And Chris, at this point, I'm taking I'll believe it when I see it sort of thing. But Chris Tucker is talking about Rush Hour 4 again. What do you think is going to happen?
I really want this to happen. I don't know if it will, but I want it. I mean, Chris Tucker is somebody who I adore, and I don't understand why he's not working more. I'm so excited to see him in Air.
Yeah, apparently
really,
he's, this being said, he's really good in
He's
Air.
supposed to be incredible in this. He had such a great part in Silver Linings Playbook. It's odd to me that I went to his IMDb. He only has 23 credits, which is wild. And, obviously he started with Def Jam, but it's still, he's, for me, somebody who I'm so aware of, and probably because I watch, Fifth Element every other month.
The last time I saw him was that I remember seeing him, I think was Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, he's great.
I think
in
that's
it.
the last time I saw him.
He did a great job in that
Yeah,
film.
he did.
And their chemistry is so great. Before we started, Ray and I were talking about the Rush Hour 2 outtakes. They're so good. The gefilte fish stuff.
Gefilte fish.
They have such wonderful chemistry, and I think they work really, really well together. So I'd like to see it. I hope it happens for him. And it seems like he's starting to have another kind of emergence.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible.
He's having his own Brendan Fraser moment, I think.
Yeah.
He says he's got a lot of stuff coming
It's
up.
Tucker time.
So
Yeah.
all right, guys, question is for you. Chris Tucker is again saying that Rush Hour 4 is happening. Do you believe it? Do you want to see it? Maybe you're a big fan of the franchise. Maybe you're not. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We are heading into a potential storm in the world of Hollywood. Everybody who is a film fan remembers a number of years ago when the dreaded writer's strike happened and the chaos that sent the entire Hollywood industry into. Well, the current collective bargaining agreements between the producers associations and the various guilds are going to expire, I believe, in July. Is that when they expire?
I believe so.
July. I think it's July of 2023, maybe June. I'm going to say July. It might be June. So there are negotiations that are already underway between the various guilds and the producers to try to avoid another big strike. One of the interesting positions that one of the guilds, the Writers Guild of America, the WGA, is finding themselves in is, while every guild has some unique, interesting things they got to try to work out, the Writers Guild has a very interesting one. A couple of years ago, SAG was in an interesting spot about what do we do about contracts for streaming things, right? That was a big question back when they negotiated the current deal. The Writers Guild is facing an interesting one right now is, what do you do with ChatGPT? What do you do about AI? Because a lot of people are talking these days about AI writing scripts and all that kind of stuff. And apparently the Writers Guild of America, in their negotiating sessions with the Producers Guild, has brought it up, and they've brought together a proposal. Now, I'm going to read this a little bit at length here from a report in Variety, because I think this is very interesting, like really interesting. And I think it opens up a lot of possibilities about where things could go. This is what it says. It says, the Writers Guild of America has proposed allowing artificial intelligence like ChatGPT and others to write scripts as long as it does not affect writers' credits or residuals. The Guild had previously indicated that it would propose regulating the use of AI in the writing process, which has recently surfaced as a concern for writers who fear losing out on jobs. But contrary to some expectations, the Guild is not proposing an outright ban on the use of AI technology. Instead, the proposal would allow a writer to use something like ChatGPT to help write a script without having to share writing credit or divide residuals with, say, the creators of the software. Or a studio executive could hand the writer an AI-generated script to rewrite and polish, and the writer would still then be considered the first writer or the writer of the project. Okay, so basically, what the Writers Guild of America is, number one, they're kind of conceding the point that AI is here, AI-generated stuff like ChatGPT and others is here, and people are going to use it. Okay, so instead of just saying, let's try to ban the use of it, which how do you regulate that? They're saying, all right, fine, AI is going to be used. But they want to designate AI like any other piece of software, like Final Draft. Right? For those of you who don't know, Final Draft is kind of like the de facto standard screenwriting software that writers use. Okay. So they want to say that a ChatGPT or I just got an invite to Google's new one.
Brand or something like that?
Brand or
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
Yeah. So whatever. So ChatGPT, that, and I'm sure there's going to be a million of them that are going to come out. And the Writers Guild of America wants to designate that just as another piece of software that a writer can use. And when a writer writes a script, they don't say written by Ray Ora and Microsoft Word. They don't say that. It just says written by Ray Ora. And so they want to be like, okay, but let's be clear, because here's what the writers are concerned about. The writers are concerned that, say, a producer will come up with some kind of hack ChatGPT script, right? And then take it and then give it to a writer and say, just take out the gibbly goopy nonsense in the chart, develop this into a real script, but then try to rip off the writer and just say, well, I'm the one who came up with the script. I'm the one who came up with this, so we don't want to give. So the Writers Guild is sitting down with the producers now and saying, okay, AI can be used. A producer can even send an outline or a general idea, but the writer who actually does it is the one who gets the credits, is the one who gets the residuals. And they actually brought that to the table. Now, there's been no response yet from what we can tell, but this is really fascinating. See what they go, because, you know, I talked about this the other day. I sat down and I gave ChatGPT a try, right? And it's really good for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, I mean, it ain't there. It's just not there. Like talking about, but what it can do is remarkable. But I tried this thing of write a conversation between a store owner and someone who comes in the store with a dog. And it's really incredible what it does, but you can't actually have actors actually say the way it kind of sent it out, right? So long way to go. But still, It's there. And it's interesting to see that Hollywood right now is trying to figure out a way about how we incorporate, how do we acknowledge it, but then also how do we regulate it? And I personally really do like their proposal. At the end of the day, it needs to be an individual person, a real human mind that actually finishes out what a story is and present it. And I do believe they should then be the writers of credit. Anyway, Chris, as a member of one of the unions and looking at what, now you're part of the SAG union, not the
As
WGA.
another union that's going, hey, some things are kind of hinky right now.
Yes. I mean, and every one of the unions has
Every
that.
union's real worried right now. There's some shit that's going to go down, folks. And I think you all should get prepared for a lot of reality television.
Ooh. Oh, you and I should talk.
Yep.
I need to hear more. Okay, but let's talk about the WGA thing for a second. First of all, what do you think about this proposal that the WGA is bringing, and where do you think this is going to go?
I mean, when I first read about this, I honestly just laughed of just, in what world are we using AI for scripts? Have you ever seen one of them try to make a Hallmark script? Those things that get passed around and it's like, the woman falls in love with a Christmas tree and this happens. And then you read it and go, is this too far off from what I actually consume? Is it? Oh, GLaDOS, yes.
Kevin will save us.
Yes. We're all going to kill our companion cubes very quickly today. But, you know, using ChatGPT just to go check it out and everything, when you do put in a script for that, it's not great, right? If it's just, like you were saying, write a dialogue between these two kind of people or write this kind of scene. And it's not awesome, but it is a jumping point, I think. So I can understand why people would utilize this. I still don't love it, though, right? I thank my Siri and Alexa every day because I want them to like me in the robot uprising and keep me as a pet, but I don't trust them. So I don't really want them doing this, especially since I hang out with so many writers. I go to trivia on Wednesday nights with my friends, two of which are writers who, you know, are doing really well with a script of theirs right now. And I'm really interested to see their perspective on this and see how they're feeling about it. And also just of note for everyone else too, the Writers Guild, they do have a whole bunch of other demands that are coming up for their talks before any potential strike and everything. And they're all about, I think, 99% on the same page of their list of demands and everything too. So it's definitely worth checking out. On my social, I've saved some of the WGA's videos talking about why they might potentially be striking and some of the things they're working on.
Right. And it's interesting too, because it's not just about, you brought this up, it's not just the producers. The Writers Guild is not just worried about the producers coming up with something and handing it off to a writer. They're worried that, hey, it's a tool that our writers should be able to use, but we don't want the producers to then say, oh, you use that, so we only can give you X amount of the normal residual. So they're trying to protect themselves from that.
A lot of times what the WGA is meant to do is to make sure that your IP is very much protected and yours. So part of the issue here is, who owns that intellectual property ultimately, right? Does it belong to this prompt? Does it belong to the AI that's helping you create it? Where is the ownership ultimately lying? And that's one of the things that I think can get sticky here.
All right, guys, question is for you. The WGA is kind of acknowledging the Writers Guild of America that, yeah, the ChatGPT and AI stuff is here. How do we regulate the use of it? They're proposing that the humans still get total credit. I kind of like that, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Where do you think this is heading? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. I wonder how many people have figured out that Ray is actually just an algorithm and not a real thing. He
That's why he's
freezes
buffering
sometimes.
sometimes.
He freezes sometimes.
Oh, he just buffered again.
All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys have a question for the show and would like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call the hotline number anytime, 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Leave your message there and maybe you'll hear it on the show. And we got a question about some head-to-head Christmas time movie competition coming out. Check it out.
Hi, John and crew. This is Jordan from the Bay Area. It was announced that Jordan Peele's next movie will be coming out next year, Christmas 2024, and that's the same day as Avatar 3 and Sonic 3. Do you think all three of those movies will come out the same day or one of them will be delayed? Love to know your guys' thoughts. Thanks, and bring on the Philippines.
All right, Jordan, thanks a lot for calling that in, man. So this is really interesting. The other day, it got announced that Jordan Peele, he's got his new movie written. He's got his new movie. He's got his script. He's ready to go. And that it's going to come out, not go into production. It's going to come out Christmas time next year, which means this is a movie that is obviously clearly fully written. They've probably already done a bunch of pre-production and will probably go into production soon if it's going to come out next Christmas. Now, of course, Jordan Peele has put out Get Out, one of the best directorial debuts ever. He put out Us, which I wasn't a huge fan of Us, to be honest with you. And he put out Nope, which I was also not a huge fan of. But Get Out is absolutely phenomenal. And even though I'm not a big fan of Us or Nope, damn, I love the way his mind works. Like he just approaches his storytelling in a way that is very unique to him. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a very, very unique way to do it. But you bring up a really neat question. What are you going against when you date your film for Christmas of 2024? Well, it's starting now to get a little crowded. Check this out. Because right now in the Christmas season of 2024, we're looking at this. We already have slated for December 20th of 2024, Avatar 3. That's kind of going to be big. Avatar, the two films in the Avatar series are two of the three biggest films in the history of cinema. Both in the $2 billion club. That's huge. That's going to be monstrous. Also coming out on December 20th, same day, is Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Woot woot.
Now listen, it is no Avatar, but the last Sonic the Hedgehog movie made over $400 million, which is more than Black Adam. I don't know why Black Adam is becoming our comparison point for everything we do now, but it's more than Black Adam.
Measuring stick, Black Adam.
And it's gone up. The box office went up. This is becoming a franchise that a lot of people are really liking. And now, 5 days later, I believe the December 25th on 2024 is a Wednesday, I believe. A untitled Jordan Peele movie is going to be coming out. All right. Some may then question the sanity of releasing your movie within earshot of Avatar 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I would say this, though. There was a couple of years ago where, I mean, first of all, the Christmas season at the movies is always packed. And there was a couple of years ago, the year that Aquaman came out, it was like a murderer's row of big potential movies coming out. And what we have come to learn is that since Christmas and the Christmas season is the number one, it's not the summertime. The week of Christmas and the 10 days, say, surrounding Christmas are the biggest movie-going time of the year. More people go to the movies. People are on holidays. Families are going to movies, all that kind of stuff. It is the biggest box office time of the year. There's a lot to go around. And what we've seen is that multiple films can succeed around the Christmas season at the same time. Now, when you look at those three movies that are going to be coming up here, and let's bring that graphic up again. When you look at these three movies that are going to be coming out, what stands out is that these are three very different movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking now. We don't know anything about Jordan Peele's new movie, but I'm going to assume it's the psychological thriller / horror thing that's kind of been his hallmark so far, which is very, very different from the family romp of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is delightful, by the way. I really enjoy those movies, which is very different from the sci-fi epic of Avatar. So when you take into consideration that I think multiple movies in the Christmas season can all do very well, when you take into consideration that these are going to be three very different types of movies, then maybe it's not so insane to drop a Jordan Peele movie there.
Also, let's point out that although I wouldn't bet against it, the last Avatar, in between this new one and the last one, it was a long time. So people are excited for it now.
Yeah.
So people had just come off this Avatar. Maybe they want to see other things.
Maybe. Some
maybe.
people hadn't seen it yet, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some people still haven't seen Avatar too.
Well, I feel like
saving
this
it
last
for-
one too was divisive. I feel like a lot of people either really liked it or were like, this is kind of overrated and I'm not into it.
I don't know, but Taylor, look up the audience. Look up for me the audience and critic ratings of Avatar 2. I'd be curious to know about that because most people I know who have seen it really quite enjoyed it. Do we got that, Taylor?
Yeah, it's loading right now. The tomato meter is 76% and the audience score is 92%.
Oh.
So anyway, right.
Yeah. I was just going to rate mine and which ones I would watch.
Oh yeah,
I would probably
What
go into the Peele one first, depending on what it is. It's between Peele and Sonic, and then Avatar last. But all of them are going to make money, so it's.
See,
It depends.
I'm saying I think it's maybe not as insane as you might think, but the one thing is you can't avoid the Avatar elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
The Avatar films are two of the biggest 3 Hollywood films in history. It is going to eat up a lot of box office. And here's the really scary thing. Avatar films, traditionally, there have been 2 of them, build momentum as they go, right? The opening weekend for the first Avatar movie, the biggest box office film of all time, you know what its opening weekend box office was? Taylor, you can fact check me on this, but it's $180 million? No, I think it was like 70-something million dollars.
The original?
Yeah, the first one. The second film, also not the biggest opening weekend of all time, but it has legs and it rolls.
Knows how to use them.
And the Jordan Peele movie's opening 5 days, just 5 days after that Avatar. And Avatar may sop up a lot of the box office dollars. So I don't know. It's an interesting decision. Did we get a fact check on that, Taylor?
So for the original Avatar, the opening was 77 million.
Okay, yeah, opened in the 70s, right? Not that great. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had a bigger opening weekend than the first Avatar did. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Chris, they've bold announcement. They're going to put the new Jordan Peele on Christmas.
Yeah.
Pretty much effectively going head to head with Sonic the Hedgehog, a third film in a franchise, and an Avatar 3, a third film in the franchise. What do you think of the move?
I mean, I can understand it from a genre standpoint, right? If you want to go see something that is a more psychological horror kind of thing, then hey, this is your ticket, right? That's what you're going to go see. You're not going to get that from Avatar. You're probably not going to get that from Sonic 3 unless we change Knuckles a lot. unless Shadow is a weird existential kind of move here.
Sonic develops a drinking problem.
Oh my gosh, I'd still watch it. Got to support Ben Schwartz. Oh my goodness. But I no, not that one though.
Drool a little bit.
Get out of here, ugly Sonic. Get out of here. You're crazy. But I will say though, I mean, the box office, I feel like this is a really big risk here. When you look at Nope's numbers, right? It did the least well out of the films we've had from Jordan Peele. It was around
Nope,
171.
at the end of the day, $171 million total.
Whereas Sonic was 408 million, I believe.
More than double.
So people come out to see that little blue blur. They love that hedgehog. And I think, too, a lot of times at Christmas, in particular, around Hanukkah, around the holidays, you want to take the whole family to go see a movie. Right? And so if I've got my little cousin Charlie with me, I am not going to take him to go see Nope because I don't want to have that car ride back home. I'm going to take him to see Sonic.
Why did the balloon eat those people?
And you don't want to have to be in the theater with him for 3.5 hours.
Exactly.
You're going to go for the 90-minute
Just
one.
leaving every 20 minutes to go pee.
Yeah.
It'd be like seeing a movie with Aaron Cummings. Like we gotta figure out our bladder situation.
In order to even put up a fight with a movie like Avatar, you just got to make sure your movie is good. Then,
well, you got to make sure it's good. You got to have a killing marketing campaign, and you got to really make sure you target your marketing at your demographic. Because at this point, you're right. Families ain't going to go to see a Jordan Peele movie at Christmas, so you got to really target your marketing at college students. Adults without kids, all that sort of thing.
I'm still seeing Sonic.
Yeah, everybody's still going to see it. Anyway,
it's going to be packed for all these movies.
Nope only made 171 million.
I'm just saying,
total.
like going into the theater, like there'll be people watching this movie. It's going to be a full schedule.
Well, the theater complex is going to be packed for sure. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The newest Jordan Peele movie, which I'm looking forward to seeing, but they've decided to drop it in the radar range of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Avatar 3. Good move, bad move, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, before we continue on with the show here today, we're going to take a second to thank a couple of the sponsors of the John Campea Show, our friends at Rocket Money and the Black Tux. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, the Black Tux. It's time we had the talk. You know the one I'm talking about, the one that ends in the 3-letter word. I'm talking about a tux. And when you need a tux, the best place to go to get one is the Black Tux. The Black Tux makes it super easy to get an on-trend, top-quality, guaranteed to fit tux without ever needing to leave your house. So here's how it works. Take the Black Tux fit quiz, pick the style you want to wear, and boom, your tux is delivered to your door 10 days before the day you need it. That's plenty of time to try it on and make sure it wears you well. And hey, if the fit's not quite right, say hello to the Black Tux Fit Guarantee. Order a better size within a day or two of receiving the less than great fitting one, and they'll send another one right away at no extra cost. Their expert fit specialists will help you find the perfect style tux or suit and make sure it fits just right. Listen, I've been dubious in the past about online sites or apps that say they can get your measurements, but the fit quiz with the Black Tux works great. And man, I wish I had had these guys for so many events I've attended over the years. So rent or buy, the Black Tux is the best place to go when you need a tuxedo for a wedding or a special night. And right now, when you go to theblacktux.com/Campea and use the code Campea, you'll save $20 off your order. That's TheBlackTux.com/Campea, code Campea to save $20. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and the Black Tux for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you go and check out and support our sponsors, like Rocket Money and the Black Tux, you're actually supporting us. So make sure you go down into the description of this video. You'll find links and promo codes to our sponsors. And thank you again for sponsoring today's episode. All right. With that down, guys, let's go back over to our Mint Mobile hotline number, shall we? Because we got another question coming in about the director of Shazam saying he's done with superhero movies. Check it out.
Hey, John and crew. This is Darnell Pitts calling from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I had a question for you guys. I wanted to get your opinion. I was reading the Twitter feed of director, Shazam 2, David Sandberg, and he said that he's shocked at the Rotten Tomatoes scores and is looking to get away from superhero movies and go back to horror. But I also read in Variety a while back that Eternals director Chloe Zhao was interviewed and asked if she was interested in coming back for Eternals 2, and she said, no comment. So my question is, with the bad taste left in everyone's mouth from Phase 4, and most recently Ant-Man, and now with Shazam performing the way it is, do you think directors are shying away from comic book movies? And would this be a problem getting quality directors to hop on board for future projects, whether it be MCU or DCU? Let me know. Let me get your thoughts. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, so one of the... I am really saddened by the financial, look, there's no sugarcoating it, failure of Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods. Because I think David F. Sandberg made a really good movie. I didn't like it as much as the first one, granted, but I was entertained. I had fun. I smiled. I laughed. There were some good emotional moments. They made a good movie. And I don't know, the critics really loved the first one, gave it a 90%. 90% of the critics liked the first one. And I don't know where the second one is. What is it? At the 50, 48? I don't know. Taylor, can you look that up for me? Where does Shazam 2 sit at the critic rating right now?
69.
Oh, I hope. Let's see. Oh, the tomato meter is 51 and the audience score is 87.
So 51. Okay, so we can still say a majority of the critics like Shazam 2. There we go. But I mean, yeah, it kind of crushed. And David F. Sandberg, the director, he came out and made some comments that I think are deeper than what you might first think. So let's go over and look here what he actually said. So he said this. On Rotten Tomatoes, I just got my lowest critic score and my highest audience score in the same film. I wasn't expecting a repeat of the first movie critically, but I was still a little surprised because I think it's a good film. And he's right. You're right, David. It is a good film. Anyway, he went on to say this. As I've been saying for a while now, I'm very eager to go back to horror. Because remember, he did that fantastic film, Lights Out. I love both. I'll say this, the greatest short film I think ever put on YouTube. Lights Out, the short film. And
that led to it.
then a studio said, that's great. We're going to give you money to make a full-length feature film out of it. And he did a great job with that. Anyway, right now I'm very eager to get back to horror as well as trying some new things. After 6 years of Shazam, I'm definitely done with superheroes for now. I think you could probably take out the for now part. I don't think he's going to come back because
I think he's going to Star Wars.
maybe
They're much more welcoming.
much more friendly because
So
listen,
sweet.
he's talked about the fact that it's been the fandom in comic book movies is awful. And he is one of the latest recipients of it. Like, he went on to say this. He said, one thing I've been looking forward to is disconnecting from the superhero discourse online. A lot of that stresses me out so much, and it will be nice not having to think about that anymore. And he's not wrong. Like, for some reason, I've mentioned this before, but for some reason, comic book movie fans, Star Wars fans, Harry Potter fans, fans of almost anything, inside or outside of movies, the problem becomes when fandom becomes tribal. And then once it becomes tribal, tribes become defined by what they hate. It seemed like for a while, we don't get the DC versus Marvel stuff as much anymore, but it was very much like if you were a DC fan, then you, by creed, had to hate anything Marvel, and vice versa. If you were a Marvel fan, you had to get a tattoo that said, fuck DC, right? It became tribal. And I still remember, like, years ago saying, you know what, I really like this movie from DC, and I really like this movie from Marvel. And people would say, stop sitting on the fence, Campea. Stop sitting on the fence. Pick a side. I'm like, how fucking stupid are you?
Yeah, pretty stupid.
Do your parents know you got off your leash?
No.
Like how dumb do you have to be to have that kind of mentality? But that tribalism has evolved, right? Like whenever we talk about Kathleen Kennedy, look, two things about me are true when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. I have a tremendous amount of respect for her as a producer. She has a Hall of Fame producing career. Steven Spielberg's called her the greatest producer of all time. I think he knows something about that. And I think she's done a lot of great things. And yet at the same time, I also don't believe that the experiment of her running Lucasfilm has worked. And I've been saying for a few years, she needs to go. I think for the good of Lucasfilm and for the good of her own career. I think she'll be much happier and have a lot more success to something else. So I can both really respect a lot of what Kathleen Kennedy has done, and I can say, but she's got to go. She's got to go. In which, of course, then people write to me, pick a side, Campea. So the tribalism has gone on to, like, now, if you're, say, anti-Kathleen Kennedy, you, by creed, have to hate everything she does. And so when I bring up, well, listen, man, some of the things she's produced have really worked out well. Those successes had nothing to do with her. How stupid are you? We can't collectively criticize, because I'm one of the ones criticizing. You can't collectively criticize the things that don't work and blame it on her, but then pretend like the things that do work, but that had nothing to do with her. So it's like, it's tribal. If you are a Kathy Kennedy needs to go person, you have to say anything she has ever done sucks. You can't have any common sense, right? And it's kind of made its way into the other stuff of comic book films now. It's like, well, wait a minute. I like the old DC. I don't like that they're not doing the old DC anymore. Therefore, I need to hate everything the new DC does. Or I like the old Marvel. Therefore, I have to hate everything the new Marvel does. Or it's just this blind, idiotic tribalism is affecting things. And now it's making a lot of directors want to have nothing to do with the comic book genre anymore. We go back, we talked about this the other day. Tom Cruise collaborator, Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise's favorite director to work with. He's talked to, now this was about Star Wars, but Christopher McQuarrie was asked, hey, you ever going to do a Star Wars film? And Christopher McQuarrie very famously talked about, are you kidding me? No, I've seen the fans online. I've seen how the Star Wars fans online act. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And now we're hearing things like Academy Award winning directors, like what she did with Eternals I thought was something Marvel desperately needed. She made a very different kind of Marvel film. And I think what Chloe Zhao did with that movie, I think was really, really cool. I mean, I don't think it was the greatest Marvel movie they've ever made. Don't get me wrong, but I think what she did with it was great. But the online fandom is like, yeah, I don't think I want to be a part of this anymore. David Sandberg is now talking about, hey, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting away from the superhero fans. I'm really looking forward to getting away from that superhero online discourse. I don't want anything to do with it. And you add that, this is a growing problem because you add that to the other directors, some high profile, well-respected directors who talk about never wanting to do comic book films, not necessarily because of the fandom, but for other things. Ridley Scott apparently has said that he's been approached to do several comic book films, will always turn them down, he says. They're not for me. He doesn't insult comic book movies. He just says, hey, they're not for me. Right? Which is the right answer to say. But he's like, I'm never going to do comic book movies. Martin Scorsese, one of the most celebrated directors of all time, has talked about how, well, you know, comic book movies aren't cinema, all that kind of stuff. I disagree with him, and I think he should have put it better. But he's spoken out against this. Francis Ford Coppola has spoken out against comic book films. Alejandro Inarritu, the director of Birdman, The Revenant, Academy Award-winning director, he said this. He went a little more harsh. He said, I would be terrible at making a superhero film. I think there's nothing wrong with being fixated on superheroes when you're 7 years old, but I think there's a disease in not growing up.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some bullshit coming out. That's an ignorant thing for him to say. But still, Academy Award winning, iconic director. So you take all these big directors who talk about comic book movies. Now you're even getting directors who have worked in comic book movies and saying, yeah, I'm looking forward to saying, wait, here's what's happening. And we speculated about this a couple of years ago. The fandom itself is scaring off the best people. Because when a normal filmmaker makes a normal movie and it doesn't turn out great, people go, oh, I didn't like that one. Okay. And then everybody moves on. Mm-hmm. When a period piece comes out that's not that great, people go, oh, that one wasn't that great. And then they move on. When a movie about a drug-addicted mother of four living in Tulsa, Oklahoma comes out and it is not that good, people go, oh, that one wasn't that good. Okay. And then everybody moves on. But oh my God, when it happens in a comic book movie, it's like the fandom believes it's now open season. We can attack everybody involved. We can disparage them as much as we want. We can try to beat them down as much as we can. And all you've done now is made them never want to be involved in it again. And you made all the other directors standing around looking at what we as fans have done. And I say we, because every single person watching this video and in this room has been guilty of this to some degree or another. We all have to own up to it.
Mostly Ray.
Yeah.
Mostly Ray. The algorithm Ray is mostly responsible for this. But I mean, we are now starting to see that come to manifest. And now upcoming talented directors are not only going to see the terrible experience that some other people have had making comic book movies, they're going to see at these legends, these icons, Alejandro, Martin, Francis, Ridley, all talking about, yeah, real directors won't direct those movies. And at the end of the day, as we see the talent pool for filmmakers, up and coming filmmakers and established filmmakers dropping and maybe not wanting to get involved in these films, we as fans are going to have nobody to blame but ourselves. Because instead of just approaching a movie that we didn't like, say, that was too bad. I didn't quite like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Jonathan did, but I didn't. But guess what? I didn't go, fuck Peyton Reed.
And ants.
And ants. Get me a magnifying glass. Fuck all ants. It's just, yeah, okay, but didn't like that one.
This is a movie for ants?
Let's just, nice one. I like that Zoolander reference. And it just go, oh, well, hopefully I like the next one more. I mean, this tribalism has really affected things. And again, I think this one little quick throwaway tweet by David S. Sandberg, I think is representative of a deeper systemic problem. And we are only, I think, beginning, or maybe we haven't even really started to feel the effects of it. But in the next couple of years, we're going to get lesser and lesser directors have to take over these comic book movies and newer, fresher, inexperienced directors are going to have to take them over because the good ones, the proven good ones, ain't going to want to have anything to do with us. Anyway, Chris, David S. Sandberg, who I think is a terrific director. I love Lights Out. I love his Shazam movies. That's just me personally. But you're hearing his comments. What do you take away from them?
It's understandable. You know, I get it. And I'm sure everyone in this room gets it. Some of you at home get this. It's really exhausting to talk about and defend why you like a movie or think it's good sometimes. And that's just for us on the fan level. To be somebody who's part of the actual process here, that has to be so exhausting, so emotionally and mentally draining to put, your blood, sweat, and tears into something, because everyone wants a movie to be good. Everyone really works hard on it. And then to have people just trash you in your work. Because I stand by, this is a fun movie. It's a good time. Gail Simone did a great tweet this week of or you could just enjoy this fun movie. Maybe think about that instead of just bitching about it online, right? And so I completely understand this. And it's just such a shame to see fandom move to this kind of behavior. We've seen it so much with Star Wars. We see it with Marvel. We see it with DC. And it doesn't matter if you don't like something. It truly doesn't matter, right? Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, but yours doesn't have to make you behave like one. So I don't understand why we can't just, go, hey, if you enjoyed this, love that for you. I didn't enjoy that. And I know obviously on this show, part of what we're supposed to do here is talk about why we do or do not like things. I get that. So this can sound a little hypocritical. But when it comes to actually cornering the people who are behind something.
We don't go after them on a personal level.
I'm not going out and spending my free time tweeting people going, this is why I think you suck. What a horrible waste of your time. Go outside, touch grass, make a friend, play with a dog. There are so many better things to do. And so I'm disheartened to see this, but hopefully he'll be playing in a sandbox that he enjoys much more for a while.
I can't remember what movie it was we were talking about, but there was a comment that came in on our channel yesterday where somebody wrote, I'm trying to remember what movie it was. I can't remember, but I guess I had mentioned there's a movie that I like, right? And somebody left a comment, man, when I hear Campea say he likes X movie, it makes me nauseated. And I was like,
It does.
if somebody said, and I responded to that when I said, listen, I said, if somebody just saying they like a movie makes you feel nauseated, you need to reevaluate your life choices. You need to reevaluate your life. I mean, if like somebody saying they like something that you didn't makes you physically feel nauseated. It's like, that's the problem with fandom right now. Like, listen, there's lots of things that come out. I didn't like Cocaine Bear. I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But guess what? I'm not going to run around and say, what was the director of Cocaine Bear's name again?
Elizabeth Banks?
I'm not going to go, fuck Elizabeth Banks. Now, I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Banks. I don't think she's a terrific director.
Friggin' love Cocaine Bear.
I'm not going to run around and bash on her. I'm not going to run around and bash on the people who were involved in making Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, it's okay to be critical. It's okay to say, I didn't like this particular one, and here's why I didn't like it. But at any rate, that's a whole nother ball of wax. Question is for you guys. We're hearing some directors, including the newest one, David S. Sandberg, who's kind of saying they want to separate themselves from the superhero genre and the fans that follow them because it's not the healthiest place to be. What do you think about that? What could the long-term repercussions be or not be, however you see it? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The Mandalorian. Season 3 rolls on. And the newest episode, episode 4, dropped last night for us, for some of you very, very early this morning. And the new episode came out. Now, we talked the other day about the unfortunate fact that the ratings for The Mandalorian have been dropping. We talked about the fact that the season premiere rating numbers were down 25% from the season premiere of season 2. And that the latest episode, episode 3, is the lowest rated episode in the series lifetime. Not just season 4 or season 3, but also season 2, season 1 was the lowest rated one. So the ratings for Mandalorian are struggling a little bit. I mean, that's just a factual thing. It's not an opinion. It's just a factual thing. So the new episode came out last night. And I had one of my viewers write to me before I wrote it, said, John, did you see without credits, the new episode is 25 minutes. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Because you know me, I am traditionally frustrated with these super short episodes, but whatever, be that as it may. So I'm going to say this. There were certain things about the episode last night that I really found dumb. And a couple of things about the episode that I thought were really quite great. And While I am going to have a full open spoiler discussion after show about Mandalorian season 3 episode 4 a little bit later this afternoon, keep your guys' eyes open for that. I am going to have to, I'm sorry about this, but I'm going to have to talk about a few spoiler details about last night's episode. So Jonathan, let's bring up that spoiler alarm. As long as the spoiler alarm is up, guys, if you haven't seen the new episode or if you care, go ahead and mute your computer while I'm talking. And then when this spoiler alert comes down, you can unmute it. Okay?
I'll just mute us.
What's that?
I'll just mute us.
Oh, yeah. You can just mute
You can just talk to us.
So let me talk about one thing that I thought was outstanding. And it's not because I sort of called it. You guys might remember a week or two ago, on this show, a question came in, who do we think is going to be the one that saved Grogu from the Jedi Temple? And I said, you know what? Damn it, I hate saying this, but I think it might be Jar Jar Binks. Well, it kind of was Jar Jar Binks, because we found out that it was actor Ahmed Best playing a Jedi character who he played this Jedi character back in the early 2000s on a kids game show. And with the Jedi's name was the same name and everything. He was a Jedi Academy instructor. And so they decided to go and get Ahmed Best, who of course was the motion capture and the voice artist behind Jar Jar Binks, and bring him in, reprising his character from that kids game show, giving him the same name as ultimately the one that saved baby Grogu. And I got to tell you what. Now look, I hate the Jar Jar Binks character. But I've always thought it shameful the way Ahmed Best as an individual, as an artist, was treated. He was trying to bring a character to life under the direction of George Lucas, who told him to act and say certain things.
Exactly what they asked him to do.
Yeah, he did. Ahmed Best did exactly what they asked him to do. And you know what? If they asked him to do that, he did it damn well. Mm-hmm. I just hated what they asked him to do. But that was never Ahmed Best's fault. And the abuse and the whatever that he took at that time was shameful, like absolutely shameful. And I loved seeing that he was back. Loved it. And the fact that they decided to go all the way back and pull it out of an old kids game show character, I thought was even better. The whole thing, we'll go more into detail about the whole thing about, her gaining her standing now with the Mandalorians, Bo-Katan getting her standing and the heroics and all that kind of stuff. I really love the Paz Vizsla character, Paz Vizsla. I love that character, and I love him more and more all the time. But I do have to point out something that really was so dumb, and this is all coming down to the writing. So in the episode, they're all hanging out on the beach. The same beach, a big sea monster came out and attacked all of them and killed a few of them, and they're just all hanging out there. No lifeguard tower, no nothing, no early alarms. And again, a big monster comes flying down, a different monster this time, and grabs one of the younglings, one of the foundlings, one of the young Mandalorians, and flies them away. It's like, really? This is twice now in a very short period of time that they have seemed to have these monster attack problems. You'd think they'd maybe have developed some defenses for this. No, apparently not. Only then to find out it's a bigger problem than we even know. Because they start chasing the thing, and their jetpacks run out of fuel, and they land, to which Paz Vizsla says, it got away. They always get away. I'm like, so this has happened many times. Many times. We just hang out on the beach. This giant thing comes down, grabs our younglings and flies away, and they always get away. So,
I mean, they built the Death Star with 2 self-destruct buttons. There's not a lot of logic in this world sometimes.
So they're like, they got away. I'm like, oh, all right. They got away. So then Bo-Katan chases it with her ship. Okay. Do the Mandalorians how do the Mandalorians get to this planet? Do they not have a car? They have no car. They have no ship. So every time it happens, they all chase it with their jetpacks, knowing that they're never going to catch it and their jetpacks run out of fuel, because as Paz Vizsla said, it happens every time. Well, don't you have a ship? Like, maybe if you know you're not going to catch it in your jetpacks, maybe, and here's the thing, if they get away with your younglings every time, Paz Vizsla says, no, don't shoot at it. You might kill the youngling. Well, if they always get away 100% of the time, maybe you might want to take a chance at shooting the damn bird. Maybe, because it seems like the alternative is 100% chance that the bird gets away and your younglings die. Okay. Then it gets dumber. Because Bo-Katan, never tell you the definition of insanity, because then Bo-Katan comes back and says, I found where they kept it, where the bird's nest is. But we got to approach it with stealth, okay? And they're getting ready to climb the rocks, and Paz Vizsla again says, don't let it see you, because if it sees you, when they see you, they kill the younglings. I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't you just say you've never caught up to it before and you've never known its nest was here in the first place? And now you're telling us what happens when the bird sees you approaching its nest?
They're babies.
That makes no sense. But here's the biggest problem.
Chat GPT, baby.
GPT writing them Mandalorian scripts. Here's the biggest problem, though. A full 24 hours has passed since the bird monster took the kid. A full 24 hours. That kid, number one, I don't know if you watch any nature documentaries about birds of prey. Once they catch something and get it to its nest, they rip it apart and eat it. So they let a full 24 hours pass, never considering that maybe the kid's dead already. And only then, after 24 hours, the big monster bird comes back to the nest, leans over, and regurgitates up the Mandalorian kid.
Nice.
So wait, Bo-Katan said it already went back to the nest yesterday. It just decided to keep the Mandalorian kid in its stomach, dissolving in its stomach acids. And then it just decided to wait for another, 20 hours before spitting. I mean, it's just these little things that in a show makes me go, what? Did nobody proofread this script? I don't know. So anyway, that aside, the Mandalorian stuff was great. The baby Grogu stuff was great. Finally getting a little bit of the flashback, seeing the armorer give Grogu its own little piece of armor, seeing Bo-Katan finally kind of embracing the Mandalorian way and now talking to the armorer about seeing the mythosaur. All that was great. So yeah, to me, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. There was some really bad writing with the whole thing with the bird, but at the same time, some really, really cool stuff in it. So, yeah, so that was the episode of The Mandalorian. Ray, you saw it twice.
Yeah.
Just generally, did you like the episode?
That didn't sound like anything I watched. Maybe I didn't watch it.
Was there a bird in this one?
No. Now that you went over that, now it seems so dumb.
Now that you mention it.
But I actually liked it.
At the end of the day, I liked it too. There's some really good stuff in it.
There's some cool stuff that they did. I guess I like to look at the stuff I like more than what was.
Look at the bright side.
Yeah. So
nothing wrong with looking at the bright side.
I liked seeing all the different types of Mandalorians, I guess.
Yeah.
And they were out of their environment from what I'm used to, climbing the rocks. I don't know. I was working at the same time I was watching it.
That's why you watch it twice.
So I need to watch it again. But yeah, that sounds really dumb what you just described. So
I mean, that'd be 3 more times than Avatar.
So yeah. Anyway, we will discuss it full and in detail, and we'll take your questions at our Mandalorian open spoiler after show. What's that?
Oh no, I thought Taylor watched. Maybe no, never mind. Go ahead.
Well,
It's your show.
Did you enjoy it, Taylor?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked seeing Big Bird.
The Big Bird was cool. Yep.
Never mind. I'll never throw
So glad we
it.
can.
I'll never throw it. Never throw it to Taylor again.
No more.
All right, guys. Come on back and join me a little bit later this afternoon. We'll do a full open spoiler discussion talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4. I hope you guys will come by and join me for that. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to our next part here, and that is this. There are a number of big projects coming from Marvel and the MCU. We talked a little bit earlier about one of the Disney Plus series that's coming with Daredevil Born Again. Well, let's not forget, too, we also got a new Captain America movie. Captain America 4, New World Order. And whenever I say those words, Ray, all I hear is... I just hear the Jimi Hendrix tune playing in the back of my head. I expect Hollywood Hogan to come through the thing anytime now. But New World Order is coming, and they've begun shooting. As the first set photo has kind of been released, a couple of set photos actually have been released of Anthony Mackie on set. Now, if you scroll down a little bit there, Jonathan, you'll come across the actual image of him, I believe. There it is.
Is he standing in front of a church?
Literally, he's sitting in front of a church with a bad date on it. No, he's just standing there, very casual kind of thing. But so there's really nothing to be revealed here. It looks like he's casually hanging out in his hometown, maybe, just whatever.
That dude's magically hiding behind a post.
Yeah, who is that?
That's
Somehow.
Mephisto.
It's Mephisto. Confirmed. Mephisto has entered the MCU. Look at the way he's like just kind of spying on him.
Mephisting.
He's got a thirsty.
Oh my God.
He'll never find me behind this post.
Can you screen his comment?
We're just gonna put a blur right there.
Put the spoiler tab on it now.
Anyway,
I just loved that you immediately were like, "Who said that?"
I have no idea where that came from. My stars and garters. Where did that come from? All right. So they have started shooting. I mean, the thing is in production now. It's on its way. It's ready and rolling. Now, with that in mind, not a lot is revealed in the image itself, but I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to actually take a look about what it is we actually know so far about Captain America for New World Order. So here's some things that we do know about it. And again, that picture doesn't really shed a lot of light on it, other than the fact that, I know, Sam isn't a Mandalorian and he will take off the Captain America suit from time to time. So let's take a look at it. So what we know so far. The movie is being directed by Julius Ona. Now, he directed a fabulous film called Loose. That Naomi Watts, the Abomination himself, Tim Roth, and Octavia Spencer. It's a terrific little movie about this family that adopts a kid, and he's a wonderful kid, but then maybe some strange stuff to start. Anyway, check it out. Unfortunately, he also directed a really terrible movie called Cloverfield Paradox. Remember, that's the one that, like, days before release, Paramount dumped it on Netflix?
Yeah.
That was not a good movie.
So shitty to that franchise. I love it so much. God.
You
But
gotta grind your teeth when you say that.
again,
I kind of thought the explanation of how the creature was there was okay.
That's
but
fine.
Yeah,
the premise-
sure,
Just
but
the
it was
rest of
bad,
it,
man.
like, eh,
bad
in my
movie.
opinion.
But Loose was great, and that's his more recent one. So I'm kind of excited to see what he can do with the Captain America because of that. The other thing that we do know, a couple other things we know. Anthony Mackie obviously is back as Captain America. Danny Ramirez, who is his military liaison, Joaquin, he's back. And most importantly, I think Carl Lumbly, who's of course the older age Captain America, one of the original super serum soldier guys, as Isaiah Bradley. They're all returning from Falcon the Winter Soldier. So that much we know as well. Another thing that we know so far is an uncertainty. And that uncertainty is the fate of Sebastian Stan, because Anthony Mackie has, in a recent interview, said that he's not actually sure if Sebastian Stan's in the movie or not, because he has not yet read the script. Anthony Mackie says he hasn't yet read the script. But he says he's actually not really sure if Sebastian Stan's going to be in the movie or not, because apparently they're going to be shooting Thunderbolts at about and around the same time. So there's that. Another thing that we do know about Captain America 4 is that Tim Blake Nelson, who I love Tim Blake Nelson. By the way, if you've never seen him in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You definitely got to watch that. But Tim Blake Nelson reprising his role as Samuel Stearns, a.k.a. the leader. He's going to be back there. That was one of the very first big pieces of news that we found out. Also, we know kind of an idea about what the movie's going to feel like, because the director of the film described it as a paranoid thriller, which sounds a little bit like it's going to fall a bit more in line with Captain America Winter Soldier. Because I mean, you definitely can call it, I call Winter Soldier a political thriller, a 70s political thriller. So calling it a paranoid thriller, to me, puts it a little bit more in line again with Winter Soldier, and I think that's a good thing. Now, one of the big questions has been that of Chris Evans. Now, Anthony Mackie, in a recent interview, he kind of dodged a question a bit about whether or not, he was asked whether or not Chris Evans may be appearing in the film. He kind of dodged it a bit, just basically saying, wow, that would be a tall order, but he never actually confirmed or denied. So again, we actually do know a bunch. Like, we know who the director is. We know some of the cast has been returning. We Still have a big question mark about Sebastian Stan, so that's not sure. We know Tim Blake Nelson is coming. We've got a kind of a genre kind of feel for what it's coming from. And maybe it is possible that Chris Evans could be appearing in the film. Now, I've always believed, and I still believe Chris Evans will return to the MCU. I just don't know if Captain America 4 is going to be the place that he does that. Now, the picture and the pictures, because there are multiple pictures, but it's just basically of scenery. And the fact that they have started rolling cameras on the new film, I haven't really gleaned anything from, it looks like a pretty standard casual picture, so I haven't gleaned anything about that. Hey, Chris, let me ask you this. We know this movie's coming. We've just had a look at a couple of pictures. It's in production now. What are you expecting to see in a Captain America 4? What kind of direction do you think they're going to go in with this?
I mean, I feel like what they really need to do, in my opinion, is to solidify him as Cap, right? And that was the whole thing we needed to get through for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I enjoyed a bit more than you. I thought it was a pretty good episode, good series. But right now, we just haven't had Sam being present. We haven't had, an Avengers team or anything like that. We really need to position him as a leader, right? And so I'm really, really hoping that a lot of this isn't the question of who gets to have the shield anymore. It's he's got it and he's owning it. So I feel like that has to be a very big focus here. I do like the idea, too, getting back to more of these kind of political machinations as well. I think that was already something we had dabbled with the series, right? Just kind of talking about our current political landscape, talking about financial issues and everything as well. But I really do want to get back into that kind of spy thriller element that we had in Winter Soldier. I think that's something really, really cool that we've been missing for a while. Things have been a little shiny in Marvel, a little fun, a little festive. I want to get, a little gritty. I think that'd be fun.
Now, going back to Ona's recent film, Loose, that dude knows how to create a mystery filled with tension. He knows how to create characters in those environments. If he can bring, and look, just because the director's done one thing in one movie doesn't mean he's going to do that in another movie.
Sure.
But if Ona can bring that sort of environment with the characters and the type of atmosphere that he created in that film, if he can bring some of that into a Captain America movie, I think that would be baller.
Oh, for sure.
I think that would be awesome if he can do that.
You've got such a world-class actor as your lead here, too. You have a Juilliard-trained actor who I really think you can do so much more
from 8
with this
Mile.
character. Mm-hmm.
You got an actor from 8 Mile in there.
Incredible. And I think so far we haven't really, pardon the really, really silly pun here, but we haven't been able to let him spread his wings. All right? Let Mackie do his thing. Right? And I think you can do some really, really cool stuff and really, really broaden this character for him.
Let me ask you this question. I do think you're right. Like, Falcon the Winter Soldier kind of became him embracing being Captain America, but that wasn't really until the end. And about the whole idea about one of the things they probably need to accomplish in this movie is like really letting him now solidify that. Let me ask you, do you think including Bucky or Steve in the movie could help that cause to solidify him? Or do you think it maybe would take away from the goal of solidifying Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America? Do you think it would help or hurt?
I think it comes down to execution, right?
Oh, okay.
If it's flashbacks of kind of that mentorship that he had with Steve, I think that's great. If it's that wonderful friendship kind of frenemies thing that we have with him and Bucky, I think that can be really, really great. As long as everyone else is supporting Steve's decision to hand him the shield, I think that's what's going to help it. What's going to hurt it is if we have dueling captains. Right? If it's, hey, I'm back and I'm here to help, or hey, I'm doing this. Let me just borrow this for a quick second. Oh, it feels good to have this fella back. That's where we're going to dilute it, right? We need to all be on the same page that Sam is captain, and everyone else just needs to support that. So if they do have these other people in there, it's just further solidifying that message.
I would love for this movie to start at a wedding where Bucky is marrying Sam's sister and Sam has to stand up there as a best man, because I love that thing. And
Their chemistry was fantastic.
I didn't love Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I loved that. The whole thing with the family loving Bucky and the little flirting with the sister. Yeah. I think it might have been one of my favorite parts of that series. I thought it was great.
Well, and how much Sam just hates it too.
Oh,
is
yes.
So good.
I love that. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about that? Captain America 4 is now in production. The cameras are rolling. We've got our first look at some images. Don't really give away a lot. We know a bunch of things about it. Where do you think this movie's going to go? What do you think are the important things that it needs to accomplish or avoid? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move into our final main topic here today, shall we? And that is this. You know, we've talked already a little bit here about the post-mortem has already begun on Shazam! Fury of the Gods. The film just opened in theaters and we're already doing a post-mortem on what went wrong because the box office was, look, I say this as somebody who really enjoyed the movie and I'm cheering for the movie and I love the first one, but I have to face reality. This movie flopped hard. And the post-mortem's already begun. And listen, we said this before, winning cures everything, but losing makes the finger pointing start. And yesterday's show, we talked about a report that came out that maybe Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was at least partially responsible for the failure of Shazam. At least a report was suggesting that, hinting that Dwayne Johnson interfered with the production of Shazam because in Shazam, there was supposed to be a post-credit scene with members of the Justice Society who were in the Black Adam movie. And just 3 days before cameras, Dwayne Johnson stepped in and vetoed it, which I guess as a producer on the first film, he had the right to do. And which caused the producer of the film, Peter Safran, to scurry and scavenge around to try to come up with something else. That was the story. Now, I said yesterday that, look, I don't even know if that story's true. And even if it is true, a cameo appearance here and there was not going to change the fate of the box office fate of Shazam. Well, the finger pointing is going on because apparently Zachary Levi has confirmed that story, that it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson who interfered with the production of Shazam and kiboshed the idea of having members of the Justice Society put in there. And he did so in a very roundabout way. Somebody, I think, wrote to him saying, hey, the story's out there that Dwayne Johnson is the one who interfered, kibosh this something. And apparently Zachary Levi's response was, the truth will set you free, or something along those lines. So he basically confirmed it. Now, look, understand, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is my number 2 favorite movie star in the world. Only behind good Canadian kid Ryan Reynolds, who loves to start companies and sell them. But Ryan's obviously my favorite movie star in the world. Dwayne is my second. It's not a good look for Dwayne for this. But the finger pointing did not stop. And Zachary Levi went on to talk when asked about the failure of it. I mean, he was befuddled as David F. Sandberg was. Like, look, I think we made a really good movie. I don't know why, but he does have a theory about what went wrong and why the movie didn't do well at the box office. And it was this. He said, but I think the biggest issue we're having is marketing. This is a perfect family movie. By the way, it is a great family movie, but it's a perfect family movie. And yet a lot of families aren't aware of that, which is just a shame, he continued. So look, is that the old standby excuse for when a movie doesn't do well? Marketing did badly. Yeah, it is. But I would contend that I don't think he's entirely wrong about that. I mean, I think there are several factors that contributed to Shazam massively underperforming. But I don't disagree with him. I think marketing is part of the problem. We said so as much in the days and the weeks and the months leading up to Shazam, because until that final trailer came out showing off a bit of the dragon fight, I was like, I love the first Shazam movie. I can't wait to see the second one, but this marketing has not been good. And that was coming from somebody who was really excited to see the movie. So I don't think he's entirely wrong. Look, this is an issue of there are probably 100 factors that went into it. The same article I'm just reading from talked about maybe the Snyder fans and Zachary Levi did admit, yeah, that was a problem. Maybe it was, just the environment. But I want to propose one other thing here. One of the things when it comes to comic book movies that I talk about a lot on this show is that, despite the blind fanboys who are like DC versus Marvel and all that kind of stuff, the reality is that Kevin Feige has always cheered for good DC movies to happen because he knows that the average moviegoer doesn't care about the company brand that pops up on screen before the movie starts. They care about going to a movie and having a good time at a movie. And Kevin Feige knows that when people go to a superhero film and have a good time, they're more likely to come back. Kevin Feige understands this. He's talked about it. The people at DC understand this too. I mean, do they want to succeed? Do they want to catch up and surpass Marvel? Of course they do. But they also know that when people go out to a comic book movie, whether it's a DC movie or a Marvel movie, and have a really good time at the theater, guess what? Those moviegoers are more likely to come back. Not automatic, but it's more likely that they will come back for the next one. The problem is the opposite is true as well, I believe. When you get a bunch of comic book movies that come out that are maybe okay or underwhelm, I think that can hurt everybody. A rising tide raises all ships, a lowering tide lowers all ships. And what have we had lately with comic book movies in the theaters? Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is a movie I quite like, but was to a degree kind of divisive. There are some people who didn't like it so much. Thor, Love and Thunder, which is also a movie I like, but have some big issues with, but a lot of people didn't like that movie. We've had Black Adam, which is again is a movie I like, but it had problems, and a lot of people are very vocal about those problems. Then we had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, a movie that I quite frankly do not think was very good. So not only was Shazam struggling with maybe a little Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson interference, maybe some bad marketing, maybe the Snyder stuff they mentioned, maybe, but I think it also was a little bit, it's suffering from the current environment of comic book movies. That when the movies are great, you're seeing the box office you really saw. But when the last 3 or 4 times that an average moviegoer has gone to the movies and gone to see a comic book movie and they walk out not completely satisfied, then it becomes less and less likely that they may run out and go to the next one too. And a dozen other reasons as well. Anyway, Chris, we're hearing that Zachary Levi apparently has come out and confirmed, yeah, Dwayne Johnson, he kind of sabotaged us. He kind of undercut us here a little bit. He's also talking about the marketing. Do you think he's on point with these, or how do you see it?
Ooh, I'm really conflicted about this because I remember seeing it on Instagram and going, whoa, because what a thing to call out. But also, you know, this isn't great behavior on anyone's part, right? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson seeming very recalcitrant, wanting to set up that hierarchy of power in a very specific way that he thought would behoove him. You know, even though this is a Shazam character, ultimately Black Adam is Shazam's foe, really, not Superman's. So that positioning, I think, is very, very interesting and something that I can understand why Levi would want him to own up to. However, this kind of schoolyard posting makes me a little uncomfy, mostly just because for me personally as an actor, when I have been wronged by other actors, hosts, etc., I usually am just like, well, I'll keep that to myself. And if I'm ever asked about it, I guess I'll talk to that person individually, you know, just so we can make sure that everything is always done professionally when it comes to, you know, on-set behavior and everything. I think that ultimately, this isn't what made the movie fail. And it's a bummer to already be talking about this movie failing because it's fun. It's really fun. And honestly, guys, if you haven't gone out to see it, please go see it for yourself and go check it out. I think you will enjoy it. If you don't, I completely understand. That's totally your prerogative. But if you are one of those people who's been sitting on the fence and just not going because of the kind of critical reviews it's gotten, do yourself a favor and go check it out for yourself. But I don't think that this kind of cameo situation, this positioning is ultimately what made the movie not do well at the box office. It's just uncomfortable to witness.
You brought up something, and I really should say something here too. Look, you got to understand, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, my second favorite movie star. I really like Zachary Levi. I like him a lot. I loved him in Chuck. I have definitely loved him as Shazam. I think he's been absolutely terrific in this. Actually, if you a little bit of bias, you can go to my screen here for a second. That's this blurry picture that was taken through a potato. That is at a party. I used to throw an annual party at Comic-Con called the Masters of the Web Party. And this one year, the cast of Chuck decided to come. And that on my standing right, I guess, there's Zach Levi, came to my party. We hung out. And he's great. I love Zach Levi. I love him as a performer. I think he's a great individual. All that kind of stuff. If I have any bias, it's that I'm kind of biased for Zach Levi because I love everything. But I will say, I'll say this about it. I hate that he confirmed that Dwayne Johnson interfered. How did you put it? Schoolyard posting? Like, I'm like, look, I love Zach. I do. But if he would have called me, which he's never done, by the way, to be clear. But if Zach Levi had called me to say, hey, the story's out there that maybe Dwayne interfered, and I know that he did, so do you think I should let the world know about that? What I would have told him is, you keep that in-house. You don't go around running your mouth. Like that, again, I just think that sort of stuff, you're a professional, something happened within a professional context, maybe somebody did something they shouldn't have done, but what benefit is there to coming out and saying, yeah, Dwayne interfered? What's the outcome of that?
Yeah. And to be clear, it's very different from if someone is behaving abhorrently on set or being, malicious, violent, those sorts of things.
Or an ongoing problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Those things I think should come to light because, there's a need for accountability. I think sometimes people get those two things confused, like cancel culture and accountability. Right. But that's not this. This is backstage production kind of things that ultimately don't really need to be aired, I think, except for by producers, directors, those sorts of things. I feel like leave it there. That's just me personally.
Because to go one step further, while I do not like what Dwayne Johnson did, I do not like it. Again, he's my second favorite guy, but I don't like that he decided to mess up with with something they tried to do with Shazam.
That was very petty too.
But he did something that was completely within his rights to do. Dwayne Johnson was completely within his rights to veto that if he wanted to. I don't like that he did it. I do think it was a little bit petty. I think all of us can be a little bit petty now and again, but he had every right to do it. So it's not like he broke the rules or and I just think that's something, because again, like if telling the world that Dwayne Johnson interfered with our movie would suddenly add $80 million to your box office, all right, then maybe I get.
Yeah.
But what's the outcome? How did this benefit anybody other than to make all of us look at DC and say, man, that house really is a mess, and really emphasizes why, again, they need to start the process of rebooting all this stuff, wiping away the old, and let James Gunn and Peter Safran come in and establish a new culture, because I don't like hearing about this stuff. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'm still a big fan of Dwayne Johnson, and I'm still a big fan of Zach Levi. Yeah. I don't have to necessarily like every little thing they do to still be a big fan of them, because I am. But yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole situation? Zach Levi saying the problem was the marketing, and Dwayne Johnson interfered. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you think there are 101 other reasons, because there probably are. We've talked about them in recent days. Whatever you think about it all, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we are going to now move on to the questions that you guys have been sending in to us. Once again, if you want to send in a question to be read on the show, you don't have to wait for the show to start. You can send in a question anytime, 24/7 at our tip link at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. We'll get through a bunch of them here, and any that we have left over, I'll read them in open mic a little bit later. But before we get to those questions, we want to take another moment and thank a couple of more sponsors of the John Campea Show here today. Our friends, more than our friends, our main sponsors here on the show, Ryan Reynolds' own, and he still is the owner of it for now, at Mint Mobile, and our friends at Fume. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Be smart. Don't start. Kick the habit. Put it out before it puts you out. All phrases we've heard 100 times, yet we still continue to have bad habits. And I know all of you guys completely relate with me when I say kicking bad habits feel like it's impossible. Well, thankfully, our sponsor Fume is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. And understand, Fume is is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. Instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. And Fume's new version 2 model is snappy and tactile. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. It's Fume's goal to make switching easy and even enjoyable. They have thousands of 5-star reviews from people just like you who've successfully switched when other solutions simply don't work. So head to tryfume.com and use the code Campea to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfum.com and use the code Campea to save an additional 10% off on your order today. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Fume and, of course, Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions, shall we? Chris, what are we starting off with here?
From Narf.
Yeah.
Narf.
Using the SpongeBob meme. Kathleen Kennedy, we have a new Star Wars movie coming. Star Wars fans, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Now, I am not a SpongeBob person. What's that a reference to?
Taylor, do you know this meme?
I don't know which meme we're talking about.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
this is
SpongeBob
Narf
memes.
and then the meme. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, the site What's on Netflix is claiming that there are 4 character descriptions floating around for Sandman Season 2, and it'll move up the storyline, brief lives, and put it before Seasons of Mist. I've never heard of this site and don't see it anywhere else. Can you confirm?
No, can't confirm at this point. I mean, it might be real. Remember, it was only recently that they actually found out they're getting a season 2.
It's an expensive show to make.
So I don't know that they have scripts written and all that kind of stuff yet. So, I mean, it could be true, but we can't confirm at this point. We can neither confirm nor deny. But at this point, I think it might be a little bit early to be able to say that with any confidence about what the story arcs they're going to use. But we'll find out. All right, what's next?
From Anonymous, as soon as official word comes out about Kathleen Kennedy leaving Lucasfilm, the Star Wars community is going to be hell because the fandom menace is going to take it as a victory.
Yeah, I mean, of course they will. Listen, she could be there for 20 years, and when she goes, eventually they'll take it. I remember when, like, Star Trek Discovery, they announced that this will be the final season. The 5th will be the final season, which makes it, 2 seasons longer than the original series ran. Mm-hmm. And in today's day and age, the show getting 5 seasons is pretty damn impressive. But sure enough, these again, going back to that tribalism, if you are somebody who decided you hate new Star Trek, you by creed have to hate all new Star Trek. And so therefore they were taking a victory lap. Aha, I got canceled. Well, every show eventually does. And this one lasted 5 seasons. But
and also when shows get canceled, that's a lot of people losing their jobs, you guys. Like,
they
that
don't care.
Sucks.
They'll get new. There'll be more Star Trek shows for them to work on.
It is always one of those things, though, of like, there's so many people in production. Let's not do a fist pump about people losing their jobs. It's always a bummer.
Yeah. Now look, I've been saying for 4 years now that Kathleen Kennedy needs to go as the head of Lucasfilm. But I mean, I take no joy in that. I'm an admirer of Kathleen Kennedy. But so when she goes, I will be glad, but only because I'll be glad that a good thing is happening for both Lucasfilm and for her.
Yeah.
That she needs to move on for her own career too. But well, we'll see how it goes. All right, what's next?
From Murray Reich, as much as the Nicole Kidman AMC ad is so overplayed and annoying, I'll take that over Regal's movie taglines ad. Ugh, it's so cringy, terrible, and unfunny. Especially when a Regal movie theater is closer to me, it drives me more insane on repeat. It's so bad.
So now, for the last, well, as long as I've lived in LA, I've always lived right by an AMC theater. Theater. So I'm not familiar with this. What is the Regal?
Is it the one with Machete?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
With Danny Trejo?
In it, but it's everyone doing movie lines. They're kind of dressed-ish like the character, but they're all talking to each other in movie lines, where it's just like, this is bigger than my apartment. Shirley, you can't be serious. I am, but don't call me Shirley. And it's all of them just doing quotes over and over again at each other, but it's not super well
And does it
executed.
play before every movie in Regal? How long has it been doing that?
This has been going on for a few months.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, this is horrible, because at least Nicole Kidman, she tries in it. One, it's almost like they stumble their lines a little bit. They're just reading.
It does not have the same gravitas too, where people stand up and salute. We all get up and applaud. I love it when we have the Nicole Kidman. I love how meme-ified it's become. But the Regal one is just really.
That's too bad. I literally, at the last movie we saw, which was Dungeons, they played the Nicole Kidman ad, Dungeons & Dragons, right? So as soon as the Nicole Kidman ad started playing, I literally audibly went, boo! So I hate the fact.
He
but
got kicked out too.
Yeah, we got
like,
kicked out.
sir, you can't boo Nicole. You gotta leave.
Not
Nicole, just that they're playing the damn thing. All right, what's next?
Like, we still take it that way.
From Daniel Haygood, Esquire. Hello, John. With all the Kathleen Kennedy discourse, I'm wondering what educational background and job experience does someone need to become a Hollywood movie producer?
No, I think you may have sent that in twice, Daniel. Anyway, maybe he didn't think I got around to it, but I got around to that, I think, in my open mic the other day. But there is listen, I said this on my show yesterday. If, let's say, I had $150,000 that I wanted to make a movie with, and I went to some filmmakers chat forums and I said, hey guys, I've got $150,000. Who's trying to get a project together? That I will be inundated with directors and screenwriters trying to option the rights to their script. Says, hey, we've got this movie that we're ready to go on, but we don't have any financing and blah, blah, blah. Just like that. I'm an executive producer. Just like that. If you're interested in knowing more about what a producer does and what you got to do to get a producer's credit, I did a little classroom video on it the other day. It's on the front page of the YouTube channel. Look under editorials. It's simply called what does a producer do? And go and check that out. It's like a 5-minute video, and hopefully you'll get a lot more information from that. All right, what's next?
From Jordan, with yesterday's news about another Star Wars director exiting their project, plus the all but confirmed news that Kathleen Kennedy will be leaving Star Wars, what do you think the chances are of her being on the stage at Star Wars Celebration in 3 weeks?
1,000%.
Yeah, pretty strong.
1,000%. I'm not saying they're going to announce at Celebration that she's going to be stepping down or moving on to her next exciting project. I'm not saying that. But we said months ago that they're going to allow her to have, because listen, whatever you think about Kathleen Kennedy, obviously I've been feeling for a long time that she needs to go, but whatever you think about Kathleen Kennedy, she has made Star Wars a lot of money. And of course, whenever you mention that, a bunch of people say, well, it has the name Star Wars on it, so it's going to make $1 billion no matter what. Really? Because if that was true, there was a little movie called Batman versus Superman that on its name alone should have made $2 billion. You put out a movie called Batman versus Superman. If movies made their money simply on the name alone, that movie would have made $2 billion.
Isn't Solo literally titled Solo, a Star Wars story?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So.
But at any rate, she has made them a lot of money. Okay. And would somebody else have made them more money? Quite possibly. But she's made them a lot of money, and they're going to give her a swan song. They're going to because the crowd at Star Wars Celebration is a very positive and forgiving crowd. And I say that as a good thing. The crowd at Star Wars Celebration is always very boisterous. It's always very positive. And when Kathleen Kennedy comes out, I've been to several Star Wars Celebrations. And when Kathleen Kennedy comes on stage at Star Wars Celebrations, guess what? The ovation is uproarious. I just made up a word. Is uproarious. It's always very loud and very enthusiastic, and they're going to let her have that. And maybe they will have her say, it is here at Celebration that I wanted to announce that I am moving on. It's been a great time in my life to, shepherd Star Wars, but I have new challenges I'm going to do and I'm going to be moving on. And maybe they'll bring out on stage the person who's going to be replacing her. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't think they will. But they're at least going to give her that swan song. So I would say it is 100% that she will be on stage at Star Wars Celebration, and maybe even a lot. All right, what's next?
From Tron. Looks like Quantumania isn't going to make $500 million and will be the lowest grossing of all the Ant-Man films. Will there be an Ant-Man 4? And if not, what will they do with Scott Lang?
There ain't going to be an Ant-Man 4. They won't make an Ant-Man 4. Like, when you look at all the characters they already have, and the fact that they're about to bring in a glut known as the X-Men franchise, of which you're bringing in a couple of hundred characters there that you can play with. And you put on top of that, the struggles. Listen, the first two Ant-Man films didn't exactly blow up the box office either, but I really liked those films. Didn't like Quantumania so much. But it's just, there's no way. Now, what do you do with Scott Lang? Well, Scott Lang becomes a character like Hawkeye. That just appears in films. And you can or don't have to use, Scott moving forward. It kind of looked like maybe they're getting ready to pass on the mantle to his daughter in Quantumania anyway, which that seems to be the whole thing about phase 4 and 5, which I think is dumb. But I love Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. I love him in that role. Even though I didn't like Quantumania, I still love seeing him in it. But I don't think there's going to be an Ant-Man 4. If they do, I'll go see it. But I don't think they're going to do it. And I think then you kind of maybe use Scott one or two more times in other bigger films, and then you probably phase him out. That, again, pure speculation, pure guess on my part. All right, what's next?
From Vincent B. Zachary Levi tweeted that Shazam 2 is probably failing because of marketing. Families don't know it's a perfect family movie. I think it's another proof the DCEU needed to end. They lost one of their most valuable fan bases. Family.
Listen, I agree. The results of Black Adam, the results of Shazam, which I still contend, maybe not the best movies, good movies. I thought Shazam 2 was even better than Black Adam, and I like Black Adam. But everything we have ever seen for the past couple of years have pointed to the fact that this is a universe that just needed to be reset. Maybe completely rebooted, maybe just reset. But to everybody who was complaining, I remember when they first announced that James Gunn was going to come on and they're going to reset. A lot of people saying, no, you don't reset it. We love this person as this. We love this person as this. Like, yeah, but it's not working. It's not working. You can't be so blind that you don't see it. Even coming from me. I'm acknowledging it. You got to see it. They needed to reset. And yes, I think this is further proof that they do. All right, what's next?
From K-Rock, it's been almost 30 years since the premiere of Oz on HBO.
Oh, wow.
And I still refer to actors like J.K. Simmons, Dean Winters, and Adewale Akinyo-Abje, I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, as their Oz characters. Schillinger, O'Reilly.
Yeah, I tell you what, that show was great. And I'm trying to remember the name of the actor too. He's the one in the wheelchair that kind of narrates Oz. And he was in Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. And he's got a new thriller on Epic called From. He's the lead star of the new, guys in the live chat, help me out. What's that actor's name? This is killing me now.
Oh, the one who played Mercutio?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
If anybody remembers his name.
Harold?
What's that?
Harold
Perot or Perino or something along those lines. Okay, there it is in the live chat. Spider-Man Sensei 70. Harold Perino. Yes, it is Perino. I love him. And that was my first exposure to him. You know what? He was also, see if you can pull up a picture of him. Harold Perino. He was also in probably one of my top 30 or 40 favorite movies with Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins called The Edge. Do you guys remember this movie? It was a movie about a couple guys, I think their plane goes down or their helicopter goes down, whatever, in like the middle of the forest, and they start getting hunted. There's Harold. Oh, he was also in Sons of Anarchy, by the way. He was great in Sons of Anarchy. But it's this movie where their plane goes down or whatever, and they start getting hunted by a bear. And that's the movie. They're getting, so it's Alec Baldwin, Anthony Hopkins, and Harold are the three primary characters in it. And this movie is so great. I love that. If you haven't seen The Edge, you must go watch it. So who is in the live chat that said that? Somebody just said it's a prequel to Cocaine Bear. I don't know who said that. One of the viewers in the live chat said that. Anyway, all right, what's next?
From K-Rock again, a few directors that I think could make a live-action anime work based on their styles, and my current opinion after smoking a fat one. Robert Rodriguez, RZA, Daniel Kwan, and number one, Tarantino, baby.
RZA would be a great anime director.
Hell yeah.
You go watch his movie called The Man with the Iron Fists that Eli Roth produced with him, but RZA directed that. Dave Bautista's in that movie. Actually, Anne's friend, Jamie Chung, is in that movie too. And you watch that, and he totally has the right sensibilities for that. Oh, that's a good pick. I like that one a lot. All right, what's next?
From Quantum of Zen, sending in a $20 tip.
Thank you, Quantum.
Hi. LTFT, tinfoil hat theory for Hulk.
I like that, LTFT.
Disney has tamed him as in real life move against Universal, much like when Marvel Comics cut support for X-Men and Fantastic Four comics before Disney bought Fox. Thoughts?
You know, that's not the first person. You're not the first person to bring that up. So there's a theory, because remember, the situation is that Marvel will not make a Hulk movie, because if they make a Hulk movie, Universal has the distribution rights for it. Same with Namor. So when they use the Hulk just has to be a part of somebody else's movie. Because the moment they make it his movie, then Universal gets the distribution rights. So there's been a theory going around, because everybody knows I hate what they have done with the Hulk in the MCU. I hate what they've done with the Hulk in the MCU. I do not like family barbecue Hulk. All right. It has its moments, because Mark Ruffalo is great. Mark Ruffalo is beyond great. And family picnic, family barbecue Hulk has his moments. He really, really does. She-Hulk episode 1 is some of my favorite family barbecue Hulk. But overall, I hate that we do not have the true Hulk in these things. So there's a theory going around that maybe they've purposefully tried to sour Hulk. But here's the thing. You making Hulk bad is not going to make Universal give up their distribution rights if you make a standalone movie. You're only hurting yourself, right? So I don't know if that theory stands up, but God, I would love to see them correct the mistake of family barbecue Hulk. All right, what's next?
From Mark Gomez. Stoked for Succession Season 4 to start this upcoming Sunday. Hearing great things about it. Also seeing John Wick 4 and D&D at this weekend. Good times.
It's funny. I just got, my business guy sent me, So this comes from Rolling Stone magazine. He sent me this quote, this is from The Decider, that is giving that they just saw the first 4 episodes of the new season of Succession, and they gave it 100 out of 100. And it says this: the first 4 episodes of Succession's final season are absolutely magnificent. Armstrong and his writer's room finally let the metaphoric dominoes that they've been setting up for 3 seasons start to fall. The dialogue is as brutally sharp as ever, and the ensemble cast pulls out some of their best, most devastating work yet. Succession Season 4 isn't just good, it's poised to handily sweep the 2023 Emmys. So yeah, if you're somebody who's been looking forward to Succession coming back, it sounds like they've done pretty well. So I'm excited to see it too. All right, what's next?
From Arun. Hey, John, I know you've said you have tuned out of Superman and Lois due to the Arrowverse connection. FYI, they haven't mentioned anything about Arrowverse after that Diggle appearance. My God, last night's episode was the best yet. The show rocks.
Hey, listen, I've actually heard, because I really did shockingly enjoy Superman and Lois. Until I think it was about episode 8 or something like that, where John Diggle shows up. And by the way, I like the John Diggle character and the actor who plays him. But as I was enjoying it because they pretended like the show wasn't part of the Arrowverse. Actually, it wasn't part of the Arrowverse in any way, shape, or form. And then once John Diggle came in, it was like a disconnect happened in my brain where it's like, oh, this is just the Arrowverse now. And I didn't make the choice. I just mentally lost interest in it at that point. Now, I have heard since then that they've actually done stuff in the show that explicitly lays out this is not that Superman from the Arrowverse. Even though it's the same actors, it's not that Superman from that universe. This is its totally own thing. And that got me interested again, but I haven't gotten back on the show yet, but I will, because I really did enjoy a lot of season 1 up until I kind of lost interest. But I'm going to get back into it because I've heard nothing but good things about it. All right, what's next?
From Matt Sanders, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, John, one of your predictions on who saved Grogu came true.
Yeah.
Just in a different form.
Yeah, it was sort of Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, I got to tell you what, though, seeing him pop up on screen made my heart happy. Like, this was 20 years coming. More than 20 years coming for him to get that moment. And I almost got a little emotional seeing him up there because just as the human story of it, it was great to see him on screen. All right. Thank you again, man, for supporting us on that channel, dude. Appreciate that very much. And I'll take the win. Say, that's right. I called it. Jar Jar. I called it. I didn't really. But anyway, what's next?
From Anthony Ruiz. Hi, John. When talking about video game shows, movies, I haven't heard you bring up the Horizon Zero Dawn show. I admittedly don't catch every show, but it didn't come up yesterday. So I was just wondering if you've ever played it. Great story and beautiful game.
The game looks gorgeous. I've never played it, although I think I'm going to get it on my PlayStation 5. The first game. I think I'm going to go get the first game on PlayStation 5. It is a gorgeous game. I love this whole idea. It's almost like a Dino Lords kind of feel to it, where it's like you're hunting with a bow and arrow, but it's all these robotic monsters that you fight. I mean, there's something very cool about the concept. I've heard the story is great in it. It visually is undeniably beautiful.
It's stunning.
And there has been talk about a movie maybe being developed of it. I haven't heard any movement on it yet, though. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check that one out. All right, what's next?
From A. Marcellus, something looks very cheap and off every time The Mandalorian has a prequel flashback. The Jedi scenes are not well choreographed and look like fan films. I think choreographers did their best work with Luke and Ahsoka and said the hell with everyone else.
You know what? I can see that in some circumstances. There are some parts in the shows that I can see that. That being said, A. Marcellus, I disagree with last night's one. I actually thought maybe if I watched it again, maybe I wouldn't feel the same way. But upon just having one viewing of it, I actually thought it looked pretty good. I was more taken with what was happening and who was in it than I was about looking at the details of that. But I actually thought it looked pretty good. Again, maybe if I watch again, I'll feel more like you did. But thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, man. All right, what's next?
That's it.
Oh, and perfect timing because we have come to the end of this episode
And when you get
of
to
the
the end,
John
stop.
Campea Show. Thank you. That was timed perfectly. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and making this show part of your day. Remember, guys, once again, if you have a question for the show you'd like us to address, you don't have to wait till tomorrow to do it. You can send it in at any time that you want at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. All right, guys, thank you again for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you, of course, to all you guys who did send in those tip questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. So for everybody in the room, Ray Ora, the algorithm's frozen again. Taylor Gonzalez, running the show's Jonathan Voico. Chris Carr has been here, and most importantly, you guys have been here. Thanks so much, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.